Welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever felt like the philosophy of technology is just a little bit out there? Super abstract, and maybe a nightmare to revise for exams? Well, if that's you, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to break it all down, give you a solid framework, and some killer memory tricks to help you nail those exam questions.
So, here's the game plan. We'll start with a quick history lesson. Where did these ideas even come from? Then we'll get practical and ask 4 huge questions about technology. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with a super focused revision guide to make sure it all sticks.
Now, to make sure this isn't just a bunch of abstract theory, we're going to anchor everything to one object, something I'm willing to bet you have with you right now. Yep, your smartphone. And our framework for analyzing it is super simple to remember. TPLF. T for thing, P for power, L for life, and F for future. And hey, we've even got a mnemonic to make it stick for your exams. Tech profoundly links our future. Easy.
All right, Section 1, a brief history. Let's kick things off with a quick trip back in time, all the way to ancient Greece, actually, to see where these big ideas got their start.
So the ancient Greeks, they really laid the groundwork for all of this. You had guys like Democritus who thought, hey, maybe we're just copying nature. Like we saw spiders weaving and thought, I can do that. But the real game changer was Aristotle. He pointed out the super important difference between things that are natural, like a tree, and things that are man-made. He said natural things have an internal push to grow and change, but man-made objects, they're totally driven by external human plans. It's a simple idea, but it's huge. And this brings us to Aristotle's famous 4 causes, a really powerful way to break down, well, anything. Let's try it with your phone. The material cause is the stuff it's made of, glass, metal, plastic. The formal cause is its design, the blueprint in the engineer's mind. The efficient cause is who or what actually built it, the factory, the robots, the workers. And the final cause, that's its purpose, why it was made in the first place. For your exams, you've got to remember this. So here's a little trick. Just think, my former efficient friend. Boom. Material, formal, efficient, final. Got it? Good. Okay, so with that history in our back pocket, let's dive into our TPLF framework. First up, the question of the thing. What is your smartphone really? At its most basic level, what are we even talking about? So, in the language of philosophy, your phone isn't just a gadget. The technical term is an artifact. And what's an artifact? It's pretty simple, actually. It's just anything made by a person on purpose to do a certain job. It has a creator and a function. And this is where Aristotle's big idea comes back into play, right? Think about it. A natural object, say a seed, has its own built-in instructions to grow into a tree. The driving force is internal. But your phone? It's totally different. Its entire reason for being came from an external source, a human mind. It can't fix itself or make baby phones. Without us, it's just a useless brick. That difference is everything. So we've established it's an artifact. But how did it get here? Well, it wasn't magic. It's a long, deliberate process. You start with a big idea, the functional requirements, like what should this thing do? Then you get specific with the design specifications. How thick should it be? Then you draw it all up in a blueprint. And finally, you build it, test it, break it, and build it again, during prototyping and testing until it works. All right, that was T for thing. Now let's move on to P for power. We're zooming out now from what the phone is to what it does in society. How does this little rectangle in your hand actually shape our world and influence who has control? And this leads us to one of the biggest, most important debates in this whole field. So here's the question. Is your smartphone just a neutral tool? Like a hammer. You can build a house or you can smash a window. The hammer doesn't care. Is your phone like that? Or is there something else going on? Getting your head around this is absolutely crucial. Now, the easy answer, the one most people probably go with, is called the neutrality thesis. It basically says, yep, it's just a tool. The phone itself is value-free. It's all about what we do with it. Good intentions, good results. Bad intentions, bad results. Simple, right? But, and this is a big but, a philosopher named Langdon Winner, and you'll want to remember that name for your exams, came along and said, no way. His famous line is that artifacts have politics. What on earth does that mean? It means the design itself isn't neutral. The choices engineers make actually push us in certain directions. Think about your smartphone's design. It's built to grab your attention, to collect your data, to shape how you talk to people. It's not neutral at all. It's political.
Okay, so we've done thing and power. Next up is L for life. And here we're going even bigger. We're asking, how does this tech change not just our society, but our actual day-to-day experience of being human?
This is where a whole branch of thinking called the Humanities Philosophy of Technology comes in. And the big names here, people like Martin Heidegger and Jacques Ellul, they weren't interested in individual gadgets. They saw technology with a capital T as this massive, all-encompassing force that's changing everything about how we live. And to be honest, they were often pretty worried about it.
And Heidegger, he took to another level. He said, look, our obsession with technology isn't the real problem. It's just a symptom. A symptom of what? Of how we see the entire world. We've stopped seeing a forest as a beautiful, mysterious place and started seeing it as a stockpile of timber. Everything becomes a resource, something for us to use and control. And for him, that was a huge, huge loss.
So, if these technologies are so powerful and they're changing our very experience of life, well, that leads us straight to our final letter, F, for future. This is all about ethics. What are our responsibilities here?
And one of the toughest ethical knots to untangle is something called the problem of many hands. It's exactly what it sounds like. When something goes wrong with a piece of tech that was built by thousands of people at a giant company, whose fault is it? Who do you blame? Yeah, think about it like this. You've got a social media algorithm built by a massive team. Then that algorithm starts promoting harmful misinformation. So who's to blame? Is it the coder who wrote one line of code? The project manager, the CEO, the advertisers? It's so spread out that in the end, it feels like no one is responsible. And that's a huge problem.
So, how do we fix this? Well, one of the most promising ideas is to stop trying to solve problems after they happen and instead design things better from the start. This is called value-sensitive design, or VSD. The idea is to think about ethics, about values like privacy, fairness, and safety right from day one of the design process. You build the ethics right into the code.
Okay, deep breath. We have covered a lot. Let's wrap this all up with the key takeaways. This is the stuff you absolutely positively need to have locked in for your exams. So, laser focus now.
First up, the big ideas. You've got artifact versus natural object. That's your Aristotle 101. Then, the technological neutrality debate. Remember the name Langdon Winner, who argued that no, artifacts have politics. You need to know the problem of many hands, or PMH, that big ethical mess of who to blame. And the solution? Value-sensitive design, or VSD, which is all about baking ethics in from the start. Okay, and last thing, the frameworks and names. Aristotle's 4 causes. Don't forget the mnemonic, my former efficient friend. Then you have that critical school of thought, the Humanities Philosophy of Technology, and the key names there are Heidegger and Ellul. And finally, our own tool for today, the TPLF framework, thing, power, life, and future. And one last time, the mnemonic, tech profoundly links our future. Look, at the end of the day, this isn't just about memorizing stuff for an exam. This is a toolkit for thinking. It's about being smarter about the technology that surrounds us every single day. So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you download an app or buy a new gadget, what's the one question from our framework that you're going to ask about it?